surgeon that hasn't had a high percentage of success in doing their job to do it, just because you have an intern that's been doing it as well, or someone that hasn't had it. I think you would want someone that has been out there, been doing it, and move away from all of the little nuances of personal things that are brought up by attacks. But you have to be very strategic in understanding those observations about who is the best and qualified person for the position.
And who can, in a real sense, achieve some of the things that they're talking about being able to achieve. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, that's a very important one.
And so, in a real sense, Dr. Sanford, what you're saying, and I think we've said it time and time again, is that the suffrage is so important that those individuals who will counsel other folks not to participate, who they themselves might not participate, really are doing a disservice and helping to undermine things. Is that what we're saying?
That's exactly what we're saying. Because if you're not a part of the solution, then you're being a part of the problem. So it's very important that people understand that. For instance, when you look at the disparities in African American incarceration rates, the reason I have the topic of social structure, law, politics, government, economics, family, the breakdown in the family, the breakdown in economics, breakdown in religion, you find more people disproportionate in African American males being in prison. So you have to have someone when you're voting that's aware of those issues, that they got a plan of action to try to assist in those, that can see that there's some ill thoughts with someone who shoots someone that might be doing something illegal, but then to shoot them 15 more times after they're already down, that someone understands the subliminal nature of racism in the subconscious of people that might do that, and to be able to say something needs to be done about it. To look at women and, for instance, politically speaking, you're voting to say equal rights there as well as for other minorities, equal pay, better pay for people to have a better quality of life. Because if you have low economics, breakup in family, lacking in religion, no medical care, then you're going to have a hard time of it in comparison to those that have those things. And those that have those things need to have a sensitivity to those who don't. And those who don't need to be voting and know they need to vote for people that are going to be sensitive to their
Okay, so what we'll
plight.
do, we'll take this final commercial break, and then we'll be back with our audience following this short commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So we got 10 more minutes. And,
okay. So this is the closing right now?
Yeah, this is the
All right.
last segment, 10 minutes. You know, so you're giving us some excellent information. You always do. You know,
I appreciate it.
People just need to be made aware.
Yeah,
you know, and not to be going around counseling folks not to vote and talking about that they can't vote. And, you know, because you know, when you look at the breakdown of the population in many of these instances, we could almost rule the roost if we got out and registered and everything. Because so it's important to know that.
Yeah. The reason I tried, I didn't want to say it because I don't like to take two sides, but the reason I mentioned that about knowing the platform is a lot of the younger ones, you'd be surprised they're for Bernie, because what he says is really nice. But
good,
but you know something else, when they say, even when Hillary Clinton said that sounds good, it's a grandiose type of a plan in the sky, but it's fiction. I asked my class, I said, well, what does she mean when she said it's a fiction? And they don't know what the word fiction is. You see what I mean?
I know exactly. Hey, I was there too, you know.
I know.
I got out early, but
you'd be surprised, man. It's worse than that. You probably think it could get any worse.
I don't think it can be too much.
Man, I had a girl the other freshman just cursing at me in the classroom. Didn't even do her work, but still thinking it's my fault. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to sum up that thing again.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. Sanford from Tennessee State University, and the topic is the impact of social structures on voting participation and voting activities. And of course, Dr. Sanford, let's see if we can pick up during this last 9 or 10 minute segment to talk about some of the things dealing with voting, you see, because I don't think that we can say enough about voting in order to try to encourage folks to become part of the process.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's very important for every citizen to take the opportunity, and if you're 18 years old, to go and register to vote. If you're 18 and above, if you haven't never registered, you need to do it. And then if you have registered, you need to go out and fulfill your citizenship right and to vote. But as we were talking in the last segment, one needs to be an informed participant of the process as well. And I think if you can just be aware of people who have had experiences and got to know withal and can get things done, and if they got a proven record of doing that, it's very important to do. But you have to be able to discern rhetoric from what's true, and that's going to be very important. I like that term that I want to bring up again on social structure for the audience to understand, if you just start the listening, that we're talking about the primary institutions, 10 of them, that make up society. And to the degree that people within the social structure of society belong to the upper class and the upper middle class, you have a tendency to experience those 10 institutions in a relatively positive way. And in doing that, one would probably do what family members have told you to do. You got economic stability, religion is good, you have law that's going in your positive way, not getting in trouble. If you do, you can get out. The government and politics, you're doing well there. You have the other components of it as far as mass communication, telecommunication, and the associations there. But when you find, what we find is that as you move down that socioeconomic status ladder, a lot of the minuses become within the environment in which one is in. And those things causes some of the ills of society, getting involved in the criminal justice system, the law. Break up in families, having issues there, no support systems that are there. So people, even in those circumstances, we would like those in the upper class, the 1%, the upper class, the middle class, to understand the plight of those who do not have across all ethnic lines, and that sometimes it's disproportionate for certain ethnic groups that have the less and the least than those that have more. So we need in a political process to understand those social factors that are related to a lot of the problems that exist within society, all of them that we might be able to bring up. And it becomes political. And then when it becomes political, then we need to be a part of that voting process, even when you're in the lower class and feel like you have nothing to vote for, to go out and vote. But we need to be an informed voter, and the young people need to be an informed voter, not be so caught up into something idealism. Or those that are in the wealthy class that I'm hoping through education understand why some of those who are in the lower might be in there. They weren't born that way. So you have to understand the factors that are related to that, and don't say, oh, well, they've been here for hundreds of years, why can't they just pull themselves up by the bootstraps? And just do well like everyone else, when they didn't have the boots or the straps. And the environment, there have been a culture of poverty. And within that, what I'm indicating is that there are certain factors that are there that causes certain behaviors to exist. And until we can break that cycle, we need leaders through a political process that's willing to help out in that fashion. In some of our earlier segments, we have talked about maybe a Head Start program. Many people might, that mean a political process, might see that as a waste. But so many people have had so many positive experiences from during the summer of having that intervention. And they've had encouragement from people in that particular program to help them go on to undergraduate school. I have a student that was in one from Michigan, entered the engineering program at Tennessee State University, finished, and now he's just doing very well. But someone in that program noticed he was good in math, and they reinforced it. So these programs that can be out there, and this becomes political, what I want the viewing audience to know, that people want to vote on not having that. In public schools, not having music education. Well, but those in the wealthy, they can purchase music. Oh, they can get private lessons, but there's always been out there for people to have an equal opportunity to have access so that they can go upward and mobile within the society in which we live. Going back to the topic so it won't be confused, voting becomes a very important part of that process, and we need to have people that are sensitive to it on every level, from the president all the way down, and we happen to be in a presidential election year, and so I need people to vote, get out there, and to understand what the real issues are, but be very clear about what you're voting for.
And let me make some last statements. We've got
Yes.
about 4 minutes in reference to these social programs that we're generally talking about. What I want you to do is make some statements in reference to how cost-effective it is dealing with these programs rather than not dealing with them.
Absolutely. Well, that's a very important observation you just made, because within our social structure, the 10 institutions that make it up, if we have programs that people can identify that have been very effective, it's best to put funds into those interventions, because if you don't, you'll be putting funds into the prison system, into jails, into people being delinquent and people being deviant, and as a result of that, being a part of the criminal justice system, where on the average to stay in prison might be $30,000 a year, and that program would have been for that kid maybe $1,000 over the summer that may have helped them stay in school or do better. So it's very important, I think, for us to, that goes back to the politics of it, for us to understand that if we have these programs out there that can start early and they are successful, they have funds that maybe churches in pre-kindergarten and kindergarten to make sure that students, and I like to say this to parents, to be very reinforcing at home with teaching and learning. Many times we look at that institution of education and think we got this school, you go there as a teacher and they can work wonders. It has to be reinforced at home with the parents, so when they go back to school, their lessons are done and they are being reinforced at home with a parent so that they can learn and do better. So when they take that 3rd grade exam, that they can get a good score on it. There's no reason why the family and the institution of religion can't work together by the 3rd grade to have that improved. But these programs that are there can help that person. What they are looking at right now in the law is that a person doesn't do well on those first exams, they are predicting that they are more than likely going to be in that institution of the prison or in law. So it's important to look at those programs, see the positive nature of them, and support them, and for educators to do that, and for politicians to understand that as well.
So the taxpayer has to pay money.
Yes.
One way or the other.
Yes.
He can do it from a positive point of view, and that is to support these programs, or he can do it from a negative point of view, that is to support prisons, pay for prisons, and et cetera. Either way, he is paying money.
That's right.
And so the best idea is to try to think in terms of doing something positive, these positive programs that will help people to avoid incarceration and other kinds of negative kind of things. Is that what we're saying here in reference to how the public money ought to be spent?
Absolutely, that's true. And if you have donors, you understand that there are programs and nonprofits that are making efforts to do positive things, and if support can be there, that will be one of the aims, to try to decrease incarceration rates, to try to increase education for those students, to help them have some idea of the values, a collective idea of what is good about being in school, what is good about working hard toward a goal, and to finishing high school and going on to college and becoming a professional. But those values of education are very important, and sometimes they get mixed up within the lower income. So it's important to have those programs that can help. After school programs will be excellent.
And so you would encourage people on the last minute that we have, no matter what their situation might be this morning, if they are not registered, they ought to get up and go register to vote. And after they register, they ought to be willing to participate in the suffrage in spite of any kind of obstacles that might be thrown in front of them. They ought to make a personal dedication to the fact that they are going to go out and register and vote, because we believe that that is a positive thing for us to do in order to move everybody within the society. Does that make any sense?
That makes absolutely great sense, and for people of African descent should know that so many people out of 244 years of enslavement, 81 years of Jim Crow laws, had to fight for that right, and everyone should be a participant. And all other ethnic groups and everyone in the country should be a part of that process and make an educated vote, so that people who are disenfranchised can have a better life.
Very good. Let me thank you, Dr. Sanford, for bringing that excellent information by. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.